We are now live. June 2014 Guild Hangout for North America and Europe. And this morning we're going to be covering updates to the Guild's website. Colin is going to be covering off that territory, followed by a discussion on the Jamboree. I'm certainly not that familiar with it, so I'll turn it over to other people. And if we have time, we'll follow it with your one-name study and how you handle public queries. So I'm going to turn it over to Colin.
Okay, as you're aware, well, we've had some challenges this week with all sorts of IT, with the mailing list forum being down, which is due to an ancestry problem, which you're probably aware of. And that's still down as I understand it. And I also put the new website live this week and promptly had to remove some of the functionality because of some problems with logins for different people. There were basically 3 login problems, and it defended which one of those you fell into. So temporarily, I've removed the login from the new website, but you haven't lost much functionality as a result, and I hope to be able to restore that if everything goes according to plan, either tomorrow or Monday. Anyway, if I flip over to a screen share, and I'll show you the new Guild website, which is available on the old URL of onename.org. This is the view that you're now presented with. I've added the words new and old to the menu at the top of the screen because some people were getting confused about which was the members room and which was the new members area on the website. So hopefully that should make it clear. We've got what is a one-name study, how to join, and about the Guild. 3 key pages for the website with tasters for them there, and then links that take you through to read the content on those individual pages. If we keep on going down, you've got dates for your diary, which shows the upcoming events that we have in the calendar. This just shows the next 5 or 5 or 6. On the right-hand side, you can search to see if surnames registered, link to the World War I website, and finally, down the bottom in the footer, you've got the headlines of the 5 most recent Guild news items, and those are links that you can click through to and actually read those individual news items. If I scroll back up and run through the public side of the website, we'll deal with the links here. First one is about, which just tells you about the Guild. Again, you can search for a registered name here, and you've also got your upcoming events there in the sidebar. Same with Join Us, text about joining the Guild, including a big Join Us button, which hopefully people will actually do. Again, slightly different text here, but again, still got the search, still got the next events. The news page, at the moment, they've been very short, sweet little news items because obviously we're not very far advanced at the moment, but hopefully those news items will become fuller and have more detail in them going forward. We then go to the events calendar, and this shows you, gives you a little bit of information about the Guild and the seminars and the events, etc., and the AGM. I haven't got the 214 links yet, Bob, so that's something we'll need to sort out in the not too distant future for there, because we've only got the 213 ones. You've then got the...
I don't know what you mean by 214.
This year's AGM and conference, last year we had a direct link through to the individual videos, etc., which comes from here, which I haven't got at the moment.
Okay, got it.
If we drop down into the calendar here, you've got each one of the events, you can click on one of those and it pops a new window up. If you click on the link at the top, it takes you to the website about the event. If you click on the other link, it takes you to a map of how to get there, to the location. That pops you out to a Google map. You've got a legend bottom whereby you can filter down to individual events if that's what you want to do. We then shoot over to the journals page, and we've got current journals right the way back to the year dot. So you can see here each of the individual journals with their headline items and links to those individual articles. If you want to see the total content, you can just click on the link here. That takes you through to the full page with the full details of that individual journal. And if you're a member, you then have the PDF and the EPUB and MOBI buttons here. If you're a non-member, you don't. And the final item is the shop, and that takes you through to the existing shop page. I'm having a few challenges getting the shop working how I want it with the way that the Guild calculates postage. So that's proving challenging. At the moment, there is only one new item of functionality available to members on this website that wasn't available before, and that's the ability to register a surname interest. The idea of this is this has come out of the discussions and requests about extending membership, having more than one person registered to a name, and also for people who have an interest in other names but don't want to conduct a one-name study. So this surname interest is around a period of time, and it should be ideally 20 years or more, and it should be a fairly large area. It doesn't have to be a whole country, but should be larger than a town or village, because that falls into other organisations' remit. So if we pop back to the home page, I'll give you an idea of the information you'll see should you inquire about a surname interest. So put in my surname and do a search, and you'll see it comes up and it says, it's a bit small in the screen grab, but you can see my name, the county I'm interested in, Somerset, the country, UK, the period, and then an email the member link at the end. And I'm also interested in West Indies 1900 to 1940. So that's that piece of functionality. If we then look at a registered study, what I've done is I've imported the profile, if you have created one, to create this page. At the moment, it's ended up with a couple of little bugs that I need to resolve once I've sorted the login bug out. The photographs aren't showing here. They are in fact loaded onto the site. All I need to do is make them display. If it is your profile, you'll then have an edit button, and you can then go in and edit this content. Change the photograph, do whatever you want with the content on this page. So this is another reason for encouraging members to complete their profiles, so that actually we end up with something here. If you put in a study, I don't know, let's put in a name where somebody hasn't created it. Anybody in the room not created a profile for a name they're studying? Right, okay, Tessa. So that's Keo. So if we put in Keo, it will tell us this name is being studied by one of our members. For more information, please contact Tessa. And that's it. So, Tessa, we want some more content in there, please. If this was you who had done this search, you would have a little edit button down here, which will pop open the edit window for you to go across and edit your profile. And then as soon as you put some content in there, it will change the content on here. That's about it at the moment. The idea of going forward is that more and more of the content on the website will be created by members, post holders, etc. And the next item of new functionality I'm intending to add into the members area is for the regional reps. So the regional reps become responsible for adding their own news items, adding their own photographs, adding their newsletters. So when that functionality is available, I'll obviously run through that with the regional reps. Likewise, when it comes to adding calendar entries, the regional reps will shortly have the ability to add their own calendar entries to the events calendar. That's about it from me, Jim. I'm getting a bit dry, so time to pass back to you.
Colin, thank you very much. Very, very impressive. And I'm going to turn it over to some others for comment, as I'm doing a certain amount of steering the screen around here. Kathleen, you want to unmute your mic and toss in a few coins on the table here on your opinion? Thank you. Welcome.
As far as, hi. As far as my opinion about the new website, is that what you're asking me about, or?
Yes.
Okay. I love it. I'm sorry I missed the first couple of minutes, but as soon as I hit the front page, I was just very happy. Unfortunately, I had a little trouble with my password, which Colin reset for me. But I'm so I need to get back to it now to explore all the rest of the things. But I was very happy with what Colin was showing us.
Colin, maybe I missed the point. When are the plans to go live? When are the plans to replace the older website?
Well, actually, Jim, this is live now. So this replaces the old front page of the website for everybody. And what the next phase will be is to migrate more and more content from the members room into the new website. But at the moment, it is just the front page, front end for non-members that this phase of the development is concentrated on, with a couple of new bits and bobs for new members. And as I say, what I'll be doing is moving more and more of that over the next few months.
Has there been feedback from other members on this yet? Emails?
Yeah, there's been a flurry of emails, needless to say. Less feedback, I suspect, than had we had the mailing list up and running. But there has been some there's been a thread on Facebook and also on the bulletin board about it.
Tessa has a chat comment, which I think is on the website, regarding profile and tables. Tessa, you want to pick up on that?
The question that I had on a couple of these things is, and I don't know, I had to step away, for the news or the events or the profiles, and they could all be different answers, who can make those changes? I know you said with profiles that we could do it ourselves with editing, and is that going to be a kind of what you see is what you get as opposed to the last profile, which was kind of hard to work with? And can we do, what all can we put in our profile? Tables, anything else? How does that work?
Right, okay. Let me pull up mine and I'll show you. Tables are a challenge. I'll make no bones about that. If you want a table, I would suggest you seriously consider as to whether you actually want to use the table or whether you could put an image in instead.
Okay.
But what I intend to do, because somebody else has asked about tables, is I'll pull together a YouTube video on how to do it. But it is, it's not the easiest thing to do because, of course, tables, as far as web display are concerned, are not supposed to be used for displaying anything other than
Sure.
tabular data.
Well, then I guess a quick question would be, can we have more than one image on our profile
Oh,
page? Yeah. Okay, then that would solve the problem. I would just grab the image from the table.
Right.
I wouldn't work it.
Okay, if I go back to screen share again, you'll see this is, you're seeing more information here because I'm logged in as an admin than you would see. Basically, you would see your name profile here, and you've got each of the headings.
I'm not seeing it.
Does
everyone else see?
Screen share. Screen share's not come up yet, Colin.
Okay.
No, it has for me.
Try it.
Should I turn it off and back on again?
And back on again, sure.
Right, so let's start it. Start the screen share.
Yes.
Yes, got it now?
Mm-hmm.
There's more information here than you would see because I'm logged in as an admin, but basically you've got your usual type of word type formatting here, your text here, and you've got each of the headings: about the study, variants, the origin of the study, historical occurrences, frequency of the name, distribution, etc., etc. And you got an add media button, which is what allows you to add your photographs, and then you set your author and your study image at the bottom. So that's basically it. So it's a word processor type of view, just with each box to put in whatever text you want, and you've got full control over that. It's just that the tables are a little challenging, and I will.
I would suggest to go ahead. I mean, if you want to do it and people have tables, but taking a look at what you've just done, it's 100% easier than the last one through. And I like the idea of grabbing the image, taking your table and making an image out of it, whether it's from Excel or whatever else. I think this is going to improve the percentages of profiles that are up. I think that's great.
Okay.
Comment I would make is clean. I'm looking at the home page on another screen, and it is so clean looking. It's modern, it's progressive, it's inviting, and yet the home page has the concise information for somebody to grasp what is this website all about, what is a society, and you're invited to drill in further. So congratulations. I think it's a terrific approach. Very professional looking.
Thanks very much, Jim. I must say that the lion's share of the work has been me, but I have had a team helping me in the background. I've had some help from one member with some of the graphics. I've had 3 or 4 members help me actually putting the text in for all the journals, because that was a load of journals to upload and put the text in. So it hasn't exactly been a one-man band. I have had some assistance from members, but going forward I will need more.
Okay.
So.
Any band needs a conductor.
Okay.
Now, as far as for the events or for the news, is that something that is going to go through the webmaster, or is somebody going to be assigned to those, or can people just put it up themselves?
Events are at the moment the committee and the webmaster, needless to say. I'm going to extend that once everything's settled down and nice and stable to regional reps, and then to other post holders who have a need to post events. News we haven't yet discussed, and news will probably be opened up to a similar sort of group rather than to the membership at large, I would suggest, but that's a decision that's yet to be made.
Okay, and that's the kind of thing for anyone watching today or who is interested, that if they have news to push through the guild, so to speak, that these are the people that they would get a hold of or provide it to, so that it could get on that.
Yeah, at the moment,
Perfect.
If you've got news items to go up, send it to the webmaster at. That's the easy way, and I'll take care of it.
Great, thank you.
So how much work are you going to have to do for ongoing maintenance?
I hope it will be less than the current site. That's the aim.
Good. Take advantage of automation.
Exactly. Exactly.
Is there a differentiation or an amalgamation of the roles of what I call the discussion forum, goons at rootsweb.com, and the bulletin board, and or anything else, or will they remain separated?
No, the bulletin board is going to be incorporated into the next phase, and it will be part of the members' room. So it will just be another button underneath the register a surname interest. At the moment, there'll just be another button there that says to take you through to the forum. But the forum, like now, the bulletin board. The problem I have is that a forum is a bulletin board, and that's how I use it. That's the Roots thing is a mailing list, and I keep on. The terminology is I find a bit of an anathema. Anyway, yes, the bulletin board will be fully integrated, so there will be no separate login required, no nothing. It will be part of this website.
Will the mailing list, as you call it, continue on?
Pass. I think that's a bigger question. The problem we've got is that the bulletin board currently has circa 450 members. The mailing list currently has circa 800 to 850-ish members. However, that's still a small number in comparison with the 2,600 members we do have of the Guild.
Right.
I assume the bulletin board requires password access, and the mailing list does not, because you can go to archives to see all that information.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, that's one difference, but the thing that I think is great about the bulletin board, and my guess would be once the website is, you know, everything is up and running together and it's all in one place. The great thing about the bulletin board is you can have attachments and you can write in whatever font you want, and you put it on there and it's on. There's no gatekeeper, so to speak. And it's so many times I find it's easier to see something, you know, if you have a problem, whether that's the image or the video or the whatever, than it is to try and describe it in a post. Sometimes it's a little harder, but there's going to be that combination of both people, but I think a lot of people haven't gone to the website, that's what I'm finding, or they've gone once or twice and then never been back. I think this is going to make a huge difference. I think people will be able to navigate the website and enjoy using it.
Yeah, the other thing that I certainly found, my wife was recently in hospital and I was using my smartphone while I was in hospital to keep up to date. And what I found really frustrating was the mailing list forum was members who don't cut, don't snip. And when you're picking that up on a mobile device, it really is exceptionally frustrating. And at least with the bulletin board, it's all threaded, and you can just easily pick out the new posts. But that's a personal whinge of mine.
Okay.
One question, and I apologize if it's already been answered because I had to step away, was is the wiki going to be, I don't know if the right phrase is, you know, in front, behind the member wall, and it is what changes are going to happen, if any, with the wiki, with the website?
The new wiki software is installed, and I have yet to get a definitive decision about whether it's in front or behind the paywall.
Okay.
Personal view, not committee view, is that I think it should be in front of. But at the moment, no decision has yet been made on that.
Okay. And I, you know, probably no one cares what I think, but, you know, in the committee or whatever else, but I think a wiki, especially the Guild's wiki, is a real useful thing, just as, you know, the discussions of what's a one-name study and the 7 pillars in front of the paywall as well, because I think that gives people who come to the site a real good idea of what we do, and there are so many other benefits that the Guild has that's not like that would be the only one. So, you know, my vote would be that as well, and it's an easy thing to direct people to and have them see a number of resources.
Yep.
Thank you, John. You just put a note in that you do care what I think. So I'm sure everyone has already said this, but I was very impressed with you know, how quickly this has come together, and I know there's a lot of work in the background, and I was very impressed that images were used from the competition and ideas, even though they weren't exactly the same, but percolated through on the logo, and I just think everything looks wonderful. And when I was clicking through and playing with it, I was really impressed, and it's a real useful thing, and I know this comes up with Jamboree, to encourage people who are just thinking about a surname study to go to our website now, because it's something that I think looks like it's 21st century. Good job all around to all of you who worked on it in the background and the foreground.
Okay, thanks, Tessa.
And I'm sure we'll be coming back to this website again and again and again on this Hangout as you add features, as adjustments have to be made, and we look forward to that. It's now a living, breathing thing. The old website was so static, locked in place, immovable, and hard to manage. Now you got something that appears to be more dynamic, and I assume is more dynamic, Colin.
Yes, it's all based on WordPress, so it's relatively easy to make changes and do things. There are a couple of little gotchas. That it is a fully responsive website, so that means the screen images scale and the screen look and feel changes depending on the resolution of the device that you view it on. I would suggest, however, that people don't try and do anything fancy with a smartphone. Trying to edit your profile on a smartphone screen might be a bit too far. It's possible, but just because it's possible doesn't mean you should do it.
But the mere fact that you can bring it up on a smartphone or a tablet says a lot for the design that went into it. Yeah,
it was built that way to start with. There are several people who are asking, "What's the link? What's the link?" Russ Worthington, for instance. No, Carolyn Bales can't get on because she's at a hotel.
Okay.
So there's a couple more people want links, Jim, by the look of it. I don't know why they can't see them, for instance.
Well, I do not have email. I'm switching over computers, and for technical reasons beyond my control, I don't have email at this point. So what I could do is attempt to find the link to put in the chat, or if you guys can identify the link and send it out, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, I'll stick it in there.
Thank you. So perhaps we can switch over to the Jamboree question, and Tessa, who is stepping away, would somebody else like to pick up on the question on the Jamboree? I don't know whether, Bob, you want to run with it, or...
I think I don't know if anybody else attended. I did.
It's all yours, Kathleen. Go for it.
I think that's why Tessa wanted to bring it up today. Yes, I attended. I was there for the first day, Thursday, which was DNA only, and that was well attended. I haven't seen the numbers for that, but compared to last year, but there were plenty of people there. Then I stayed for the next 2 days, Friday and Saturday, and I left after that because it got a little more social at the end. What can I say? I mean, the thing is just, it's gigantic. It took over, it was held at a Marriott.
Kathleen, before you go into it, can you tell us a bit about what it is? What is a Jamboree?
Yes.
Because it means nothing to me as a name. So if you can explain what the event is, who it's for, how many people go, that sort of thing. So if you give us a bit of background before you go into it, that would be great.
Got it. I'm halfway up the knowledge tree, as we say in our house. Okay. Jamboree is the name given to a conference that's held every year by Southern California Genealogical Society, which is based in, sorry about the bird, I can't do anything about that.
That's okay.
Anyway, it's held every year. It's a combination of an exhibit hall, many scheduled classes, panels of discussion, presentations by people from all over the world. It's very well attended. They usually, I know they had well over 1,000 people attending each day, and it's held at it has been for quite some time, and I think they want to continue to do that because it's worked out so well. It's held at a Marriott hotel in Burbank, and it's easy to get to. You can get a train there from points south, so it's easier. The whole thing is designed to benefit their members, but everybody, takes part. I belong to it, but I can't participate in the Southern California group because it's just a bit too far for me to go. Let's see. They have what we did on does that cover kind of what it is? It's a huge conference, in other words, and it's held in 3 different parts of the hotel. They take over the conference area completely. They break out into smaller areas in the hotel itself, smaller assembly rooms, and they had a huge pavilion set up outside that was used for other presentations. And on DNA Day, the morning after DNA Day, we had what we called round tables, which in the pavilion, which were tables of people who have any experience whatsoever helping people who had questions about whatever area. So I was sitting at the table for what we call newbie DNA members, or people that are interested in doing DNA and don't know anything about it. And so they would come to us and ask questions, and we had internet service, so we could actually go online with them. And there were other tables that were covering all different kinds of other genealogical subjects. It was actually called the World Roundtables, I think, or something like that. So it was, the first day was DNA, but the rest of it was, traditional genealogy combined with. So we had. Go ahead.
Do you have a head count? How many attendees? How many speakers? That sort of thing.
The last I heard, it was well over 1,000 attending each day. I'm not. I can check back and find out. The breakdown. I'm sure they have it.
Guess that's a school thing. Yeah.
Yeah, more refined, but I can tell.
I would tell you that it was like 1,490 physical attendees.
Right.
Each day, and then they had about 500 to 600 who watched what was live streamed. So they usually get somewhere between about 1,400 and 1,800. One day was higher, but their average was 1,490.
Okay.
And was the exhibition hall large, of interest, good variety, new stuff?
It was good sized, I would say, and yes, there was a big variety. A lot of DNA there because of the DNA Day. There's Family Tree DNA had quite a big table, and the head of the company was there answering questions and helping people. And
is that Ancestry has backed out of doing DNA? Was that also the topic?
No, they haven't backed out of it. But yes, they did have. In fact, they had Ancestry was there. I spent some time talking to their rep, and attended one of her presentations. And they're not backing out of DNA. They're just focusing on strictly autosomal DNA. They've dropped doing Y DNA and mtDNA, which is mitochondrial. And they're just focusing, they want all of their focus on the autosomal DNA because it fits more with their purpose of family trees and people finding cousins. And that's, it's just a bit better fit for them.
That makes sense. And leave family tree DNA to chase after the other two areas.
That's right. Yes, that's right. 23andMe, the other large DNA company over here, is also autosomal DNA only. So, you know, I didn't find fault with Ancestry for what they did, but the problem is that they're throwing out all the samples and the database of the Y and mitochondrial DNA that they had. So the people who tested members of their family who are now gone can't get the samples to do further testing and can't get them retested. And that's just caused a huge uproar, and I think that's where a lot of the rumors have come from about them getting out of DNA altogether.
So is there a big dispute on ownership of the DNA samples? If they have the right to throw it out?
Well, that's right. They say that they this has a long history because they got a lot of their DNA database from the company I tested with, which was run through the LDS Church many, many years ago. So anyway, it's a big long mess. But what Ancestry is saying is that legally, they can't. It's just too much to try and contact every single family that has a sample there, and that they couldn't physically deliver the samples. It's just a nightmare of you know, things that they'd have to do. And Family Tree DNA, when approached about accepting the material and the database from Ancestry, said that for them too it would just be a legal nightmare because they couldn't get all, because they have you know, signed agreements with all their users, so you have to, you know.
Well, what goes through my mind as you talk about this is the other area of interest to me, and that is societies that decide to take on the obligation of people's family studies, be it in paper form or otherwise, and the long-term effect if a society decides, no, we're going to get out of that thing. You get into quite a legal quagmire. So there's an interesting parallel in those two.
That's one of the reasons why everybody that I talk to, you know, the people that I hear speak about it and everything, say that one of the most important things to do for yourself when you have DNA tested is to have to have a beneficiary for your DNA. So, and only one of the sites, and I'm trying to remember which one it is, actually has a form that you can fill out and designate a beneficiary, so that if anything happens to you, they are in charge, and it's all legal and done and dusted. And
I know on the Guild website somewhere there is a beneficiary form or a codicil for your will for ensuring that your one named study goes on to somebody else in the family. It almost begs that that the DNA clause be added to the Guild's
absolutely, yeah.
form.
Yeah.
And one other thing you need to pay attention to, and I find most people don't pay any attention to it, is any company that you work with, anytime you go online and you're asked to take a look at the terms, and no one does, and they sign it and they send it off, you know, take a look at those terms, because Ancestry, I believe, was very clear on saying who owned certain things or what the legal rights were, or that they could make changes at any time, and that they would be the final determination of those changes. So if you don't own the thing, so to speak, you know, if you've turned over rights to it, you need to pay attention to that kind of information. And we all don't. We all click the box and want to get into the next program. So.
And I actually almost fell into this trap because my brother, who was my brother tested with 23andMe through their Parkinson's disease study, and that was what got me started with the DNA testing. And I handled his account, but he had ownership of it. Well, there came a time when it was just becoming, you know, cumbersome, and I wanted to combine our accounts, all three siblings. So I asked him if I could do that, and he said sure. He wasn't doing anything with it. He, you know, he just did it to help out the study. So I took ownership of his account, and he passed away. So it just happened, and he passed away suddenly. It was unexpected. So I already had control of it, which was a good thing, because he's the only male in our family that I was able to test. So that was important. Anyway, to get back to the Jamboree, Maurice Gleeson was there, which is one of the main reasons I wanted to go. He was speaking on DNA Day. He was the opening speaker, and he had several very good presentations about Irish research that were really helpful. But there were others that, having to do with German, German research, just all different kinds of ethnicities, things about doing presentations and how to use Google Maps, and some very clever things people have done. Just about any kind of thing you can imagine, and you often ran into the problem of picking which class you wanted to go to, and people were rushing around like crazy. Judy Russell was there, which made it difficult to get into her presentations. There were just a lot of people there that we all know, very good names, and a lot of interesting information. And I'll tell you, when I got home, it took me 3 days to recover from that 3 days. I was exhausted. It was just really, really an exciting thing, and very.
Sometimes I find those conferences bring on tremendous guilt complexes in me. The 3 days I get home is, oh my goodness, the work I have to do.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And maybe you've all talked about it before I had to step away again, but the mobile app that the Jamboree does is excellent.
Absolutely.
And if you have not had a chance to take a look at it, you actually should. It stays up all year. All of the speakers, or most of the speakers, put their handouts on as a resource, so even if you can't go, you can check out their handouts. We were able to be a virtual exhibitor this year, the Guild was, and we put a number of handouts on. Other organizations did, individuals. They have an ability to meet up with other people. You can check out other friends who are going. The Jamboree, Southern California Genealogical Society, was one of the first groups that did webinars online for people, free each month. They are very active with their membership, and it's a pretty inexpensive membership to have to really get a lot of information, certainly about USA Society. But there couldn't have been more helpful helping us put that all together, and I just found that the mobile app was really easy to work through, to know what I was going to be watching when I watched something that was live streamed, and to have the handouts. Very useful.
And you can imagine how useful it was to me when I was running from one class to another, and you had a little bit of room in between them, but I get over there and the door was shut already, and then I'm quickly trying to find another room to get into to try and make use of my time. It was very good for that, and it was very good for everybody can keep touch with everybody, keep in touch. You sign up your friends, so to speak. You tag people that you know, and then you can send them messages back and forth. Where are you? I'm coming over, or whatever. It was really.
Can I ask?
Can John jump in here? Go ahead, John. You have a number of comments.
Can I ask who put up the virtual presentation? Because I thought that was an amazing thing for us to do. Well done, Tessa.
The USA regional reps all got together, and we worked with the Canadian one, so we were approaching it from a North American standpoint, and once we found out we could still do it, we asked committee, and they were incredibly helpful and got back to us right away and just said go for it, so we did it.
I think it's so. This is what we need. I try to do my little bit for Guild with Mondays Remote, and it gets us into a new area, a new continents. I get mails from all over now, not just related to laws, but I'm picking up people with laws through that medium, and the same with my blog. I did, as I told this morning, I did my blog. Richard Erickson and Russ Worthington did a hangout, on live hangout with my blog to change it, to make it more better presentation, and that's gone out, and the results are amazing. And it just shows that it's so possible. And with Roots Tech coming around again, and
yeah, Roots Tech is another one that's, I attended it when it was here. Yeah, I wish I had the money to go to all of them. I honestly.
Me too.
Roots Tech is wonderful. I attended that when it was here in San Diego, and it was the same kind of thing. You just had so much going on in so many different areas, and so many societies represented. FGS is all over the place.
Can somebody have a conference or a presentation between the 31st of July and the 11th of August? Because I shall be in San Francisco with my daughter.
Actually, I'll check the calendars, John, and see what's available.
Yeah, please.
Is it not the case that this hobby of ours is like the third largest or second largest hobby now available? There's somewhat, I think we're behind gardening or what have
Jim,
you.
I thought you were going to say this, the third largest money pit.
No, my house is the largest money pit.
My garden's the largest money pit.
Followed by genealogy.
I have a cousin who has a boat, and he often gives me access to his online accounts. And if I just think for a minute, oh, let's see, didn't send me the password, but I'll bet it's Money Pit. And sure enough.
Having been on boats, I can fully understand. Joan will not let me buy a boat.
No.
I just head up and I charter. Well, that's excellent.
It's not the buying that's the problem. It's the
Right.
parking it and all that sort of thing.
Right. I was going to say
one in this harbour is terrible.
I was going to say one other thing about Jamboree is that they do have tables lining the hallways, and so even if you just have a table presence, a lot of people were just wandering around, and they also have people who come in and attend for the day. Maybe they just want to see one speaker or something, and they have walk-ins. But there are a lot of ways that we could be represented, and I really think it would be great to have some presence there, maybe for like next year, have a table or a booth, and then the following year, have someone give a presentation. Just kind of.
I think that's one of the things we wanted to try. We did miss the deadline just because we were waiting on some responses.
Right.
But once I saw that we still could do the virtual exhibit, I thought, let's do that this year. I definitely had contacted them about the potential of having a table. The one thing you'd have to do is work it, the time that it's there. And I have already heard, we did a survey for North Americans that went out, I want to say on Thursday, to everyone, and we've already got 50 responses back of our 297 members. So we have had a number of people say that they would be willing to attend some of these conferences and help work a table in the following year if we have some information or something. So that's another thing that North America wants to work on. So,
right, and it's quite easy to work it into a day of attendance, because I sat in at the ISOG, the International Society for what is it? Anyway, it's the DNA group.
Genetic genealogy.
Genetic genealogy. Thank you, Colin. And I sat in at their table a couple of times helping people. So it's really easy, and you can get up for breaks, in other words. You don't have to sit there like a robot. You just get people to trade off, and it's very easy to do that way.
Kathleen, how did Maurice's talk go? Maurice Gleeson.
Oh, he was the star of the show. I mean, every day his classes were full. He did a great class on, I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was had to do with the Irish and the slave trade and the islands and everything. It was wonderful. And, I picked up a lot of things because I've had, doing my DNA, my siblings as well, the three of us, we've picked up this little tiny African segment, and we don't know where it comes from in our family tree. And yet we also have an Irish line that we're, really, we just don't have any information on them. And somebody suggested to me they could have gone to the islands. The younger sons of some of the landowners would have to go somewhere because they had no land. And some of them were involved in, some things that they weren't proud of later. But, so it could be that. So it was interesting. Just, everything, every presentation he had something in it for everyone that was doing Irish genealogy. So it was really helpful. And he's so good. He's just so clear and gives so much information in a short period of time. So, yeah, I can't say enough about the guy.
Excellent, thank you.
And he's also a good dinner partner. We had a large group of, we took over part of the restaurant in the hotel that first night with the DNA group. So it was quite a lot of fun. That's the other thing about it, is the amazing networking, and I got together with DNA cousin matches that we were trying to work on our program together. They had a great group of bloggers that got together and discussed blogs and how to use them, and best practices and helping people get started with blogs. I unfortunately didn't get to that. But I heard that it was very good. And
go ahead.
I have to thank Tessa and Pat Ridgely Erickson for my blog, because it was on your legacy, where she did a presentation on your virtual legacy group, and I watched it, and I was hooked. And it goes out every day, automatically, if I remember to do enough in advance.
Are there any jamborees, conferences, and so on involving the Guild, either in United States, North America, or England, Europe, that should be mentioned on this broadcast? What's coming up, guys?
Look at the events calendar on the new website, Jim.
That was my intro to you. You can run with it now.
Hey, I've just put all the data on there. I haven't read it.
Oh. You just.
Who do you think you are? Glasgow. August, and if I could find my diary, I'll tell you the dates.
that's right.
August.
Isn't there somebody at Wiltshire today? I think.
Hello, Paul.
Hello.
Oh, yeah, I think I did hear about that.
30th of August. 29th and 30th of August. Who do you think you are? Scotland, Glasgow.
And then there's always the things that are coming up in Salt Lake City.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The groups,
And I
down.
definitely think that Roots Tech being in conjunction or in tandem with FGS next year is going to be a big deal. And I've heard
Really?
from guild members who are coming from Australia and from the UK, as well as some Americans. And in fact, we've had a couple of people ask about it, and it's kind of something to think about, is either doing a half-day workshop either the day before or the day after that's just related to, getting guild members together who are there. And we've had some other members at least tell us about other local and regional conferences or seminars or a statewide thing that they think would be useful to provide some information to. So I was very surprised already to get responses back and have people say, yes, I'd be willing to hand something out, or I want one of those buttons that says, ask me about my one name study. So I've sent those out. I got them from the UK, and I'm sending them out to the regional reps to send out to everyone else. So we're definitely, I think people are at least more energized. I don't know if it's summer or what, which started today, but people have gotten back to us right away and said, I'm willing to do something, which is kind of nice.
Check the chat box. John has a question for you.
FGS is the Federation of Genealogical Societies. So that's an organization that you can belong to if you're a society or an association, and the guild belongs to it. But all of or many of the statewide or the regional or the international groups belong, and then we process that information and give it to our members. And so FGS is, they have a radio show, I want to say once a month, I'm not sure, but they're a really good organization for helping societies stay focused or providing services and benefits to their membership, and they do excellent seminars. The president of it right now, if that's the right phrase, is Josh Taylor. So I don't know if you've heard him anywhere else, but Josh Taylor, I think I heard his first presentation ever when I went to SLIG one time, but he is excellent, and he's really so clever and so forward-thinking on things to get people involved.
He was at Jamboree as well.
He's good. He's very good.
And as to the other one, Roots Tech is the big conference every year, and it's big, that has to do with technology in relation to genealogy.
I would say, though, that although they say they're dealing with technology, I would say that's one day, and that's for developers. But they have not figured out the sweet spot yet for technology, and I'm hoping they get there next year, because they are very low-tech on a number of things. And then with the developers, it's so high-tech that you really do have to know what you're doing. There's no middle ground, at least at this point. But they're getting there, and they do a really good job of spreading the word to everyone because of how they live stream so much stuff.
I think the technology is mostly software.
There is a new one. There is a new one, guys, that you may not be aware of, and this is an offshoot from the Roots Tech, and that's the 25th and 26th of September this year at the BYU Conference Centre in Provo, and that's the Family Search Family History Developers Conference, which is a new one, which is the first time that this event's being run. I've had an invite to it, but I won't be able to make it. But that may well be a more techie one, and maybe that's what they're going to do, is hive off the techie discussion from, this is surmise on my part, from Roots Tech to a standalone techie conference, and maybe dumb down, shall we say, Roots Tech a bit.
Well, they tend to, at the other conferences, they tend to have offshoot meetings for different groups like that. They'll have a meeting one day for developers and a meeting for, like I said, bloggers, or things like that. But that sounds like it's going to be very intense. That's a good thing.
We've had two more people join us, and I want to welcome Marie and John. Do you guys want to have a chance to jump in or just say hi to the group?
I'll just say hi. For now.
Okay.
I want to jump in later.
Well, we've got some time. The last topic that we had posted was your one-name study and how you handle public queries. And Tess, I think you're the one that suggested this. Do you want to lead it off?
I always mute myself otherwise. We wanted to make sure that whatever we were covering in the two different Hangouts wasn't exactly the same, so that people were getting different information each time. And one of the questions that I've received from a number of members is, if I'm getting an inquiry, how do other people handle it? What kind of responses do you give? How much information do you provide? What if you don't have an answer for them? How do you keep track of a file for that? Just the logistics of it, as well as how do you encourage inquiries, and then how do you respond to them? So if people are far enough in their studies, I would say I maybe get one every other month. And someone will say something like, what's all the Keo information you have about my family in Australia? And I say, I haven't started on Australia yet, but, here's something you'd like to take a look at. I've been lucky in that I've had a few from Canada, and that's something I'm much more familiar with, and I've been able to connect people up. But most people just want you to give them everything you have, and then you never hear from them again. So I am wondering how, I've only had a few inquiries, how do other people deal with it? So now I'm just going to open it up to all the rest of you.
Okay, I want to jump in on this one. That's why I came. I just had 3 more inquiries in this last month. I've got all 3 of them satisfied, and one of them is actually put in a DNA project which has been tested out, and it looks like we've got a match with another line. My basic strategy, and I'm a family builder for this exact reason, is when somebody contacts me, I ask them, who's the closest name you recognize on my tree? I have that Tribal Pages tree. They tell me the name, and I send them their pedigree chart right off the bat. Everything I have about their line. I ask them then to correct it. They love correcting. If I ask just for information, I get nothing. If I ask them to correct my mistakes, they jump in like crazy. And then they send me pictures and other information because they want their line right. But I give it to them first.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Sounds like a good theory.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things you're saying then is you have to have information out there for people to see. There's
Right.
a number of members that seem to be hiding their surname under a bushel, if that's the right way to put it. They have all this information and they say, I don't put anything online and you'll have to contact me. And you're saying, since I have something on Tribal Pages, since I have the name out there, and, is that the only place you have it, or are you pretty much everywhere so that they can find you a number of ways? And then I'd ask the same question to other people.
I've got a partial tree on Ancestry. I am gradually putting my entire study up on the LDS site. That takes a lot of time. And I've got a partial tree on MyHeritage. I also, if you Google Pepler, you get me. I've gotten it around enough for that.
Well, the first week that I had I have a TNG website for my McElroy study, and the first week I had it up, I became the answer for McElroy whenever you Google it. So, but I've had one query from the guild site.
Okay.
One.
I've
So
had
I
none.
don't. So I don't have a theory about how to handle it. So I'm good. I'm glad to hear this information.
Okay, and I would say that I think we're going to see. I could be proved wrong, but a bit of an explosion once the profile is much easier to do, which it
Yes.
looks like it is. Then it's easy to get it up there. I think there's going to be more interaction, more people going onto the website, and anytime there's more hits on that website, it moves it up. I think once we get an opportunity, at least in the United States, to put more information out about the Guild, or to tweet about it, or put something on Facebook or Google Plus saying, go check out the website, and you can list an interest even if you don't have a registered name, as long as you follow the suggestions, a time frame, a country, the names you're interested in. I think that's going to generate interest as well. And then people are going to be looking for those names. And once we get out there by either attending a local, a regional, or a national conference here.
And I might ask for some help while we've got a good group here. I have my McElroy study had several variants, but they were mostly spelling variants. I had one that I found while I was searching for records, that eventually I split off. I took it down as a variant from my study because I met someone of that surname who wanted to do her own project, DNA study. So I passed that over to her. Well, we've now found a DNA link between the two surnames. So I'm wondering how I can add that to my profile so that I can say there is a DNA link between this name and this name. Should I just put it as that simply, just a statement that says we've now found a DNA link?
I would definitely add that to your profile, and I know that some people say, contact me and I'll put you in touch with them or whatever. That could be there.
Mm-hmm.
It really looks to me, I have to play with it a little bit. I took a look the first day, but then I was focused on some other things. When Colin showed us how easy it is to do the profile now, when it gets all up and running, it's something that is going to be what you see is what you get, that I think is going to be much easier, and we can have more than one image, so we can take a JPEG or a ping of a table we have, or an Excel, some kind of chart that we have that I think is going to be useful and much more interactive, and you can constantly update it. And I think it's going to be a lot easier to direct people either from your whatever social media you use, tell them to check out your update to your profile.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of drives people over there and they're going to see something new. I think that would be good.
Idea too. Now, would it be acceptable for me to put her as a contact for that name?
I don't know, just because I don't know what the rules are yet, but you could also be listing that name. Now, she is not registered with
No.
You could put that name as an interest.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Yes.
And it does have you as the contact for there. When I saw that this morning with Colin's walkthrough, and if you missed that walkthrough, definitely watch it on either one of these Hangouts. But I was very impressed with that, because that gives you an ability to have that name out there, even if you're not doing a registered study.
Well, meanwhile, I'm working on her to
Okay. Good.
be a member.
Anyone else have any suggestions, or tell us, and I would like to know, because a number of people ask me this specific thing. How do you do it? Do you keep a file? Do you have all those letters? What do the emails, what do you do with them?
I'll jump in here again because I'm family organized. I have a folder for each family line, each lineage, and I make a PDF off of every email I get and date it, and it's in the folder. And I can always go back then and say, oh, well, your cousin over here sent me this information, because I have them all in the one folder for that lineage. For the people that I don't have a lineage on yet, I put them in their own folder.
Great.
That sounds
Well,
any other explanations that people do?
Well, let me jump in here. At least I'll try to. Excuse me. I get a few inquiries through the Guild right now, but I get probably an average of 5 a week through my website. And basically, I use those inquiries to drive any additional research that I do. If I get an inquiry that tells me about a family that I don't include, that basically puts that on the priority list. And it's sort of a push-down list, meaning the last in, first out approach to checking out things so that I can respond to people as quickly who've most recently have inquired. Answer them. If it's a case of I can just direct somebody to the website, I'll do that as quickly as possible. Quite often, though, the inquiry is to add some information to my existing knowledge base, and then I'll always include in the inquiry a request for further information about the family, which usually comes. But I don't. I have an email folder for all the guild inquiries, and they just go in there as soon as they've been processed.
Okay, I guess I'll jump in next. I'm woefully behind in my Benedict surname research and handling queries. I hope to get back to it a little better, but my professional life, business life, and personal life is in a certain state of turmoil right now. So what I did before was had with my son, a wiki set up on the Benedict name, and that really helped out a lot. It was a public access wiki that allowed people to edit and add their family stories, but not a family tree. What we are about to do is have a new site launch that will allow a family tree using TNG as Kathleen does, plus continue on with the wiki, plus also add images to be posted. The other thing I used to do, and I'm going to get back to it, is have a newsletter published. The main thing is to keep the information on Benedict fresh out there, so people will feel like there's actually a live person at the other end that they can write to, i.e. me, to get in touch with, and I'll just become like a steering committee and direct any queries over to those people that will have better knowledge of that branch of the Benedict than I do. So over the next 12 months, the plan is to get back on the saddle and start writing this sucker. But I have been very negligent, and what can I say? Personal, business, and professional life has to take precedence over the hobby at times.
Well, and I think the good thing about this is, depending on where you are, work-wise, family-wise, other obligations, this is one of those studies that goes on for a long time. This is not something that gets done in a week, a month, a year, 10 years, whatever. And I think that it's also going to be helpful. Anyone who has mentioned that they work with a group, or that they have some collaborators or whatever, seems to be able to push it out there more. And I would suggest, if people haven't listened or watched Paul House's discussion when we talked about how we run our one name studies at AGM conference for 2014, it's on the Guild website, he really had a lot of good ideas for how he pushes the House name out there and how he gets people aware of his study and gets them to interact with him. And a lot of light bulbs, went off, or the light went off for me on a couple of things that he does that are actually pretty easy. But he is like Marie; he owns the name. If you're looking up that name, you find him pretty much everywhere, and that's the approach to take. And I know John Laws has really been pushing his blog, and the Register is there every day. And I know Dear Myrtle worked with him on, I think it was a Wacky Wednesday, right, where she took your blog and was showing you ways to improve it, or to make it, you know, a little more visual, or put some information on, or how to get the word out about the blog, not just publish your blog, but do something more with it. And I've seen a lot of those changes on Google+, which I tend not to be much of a Facebook person, but I do go on to Google+ pretty regularly. And I think a few other people have taken your advice, because I'm seeing more of their studies on Google+ as well.
It would be nice to see you on Mondays with Mert.
Our timing sometimes, it works occasionally for me, and then other times not, so I try.
Schedules are a problem. I'm lucky, I'm retired, so I just fit because it's Mondays with Mert. It's not so bad, because that's about 16:30 here, whereas Wacky Wednesday is 0200 here, which is a matchstick job, you know. And the games night tomorrow as well. That's also at a stupid o'clock.
And I will say
but that is an area, you know, if folk spread into, because I mean, all these people have massive. There's masses of information out there on YouTube, isn't there? I mean, these guild recordings. There's masses by Mert. There's masses by loads of other people.
And I would encourage people, if you even, you know, don't think so closed as to say that it's genealogy. I use YouTube videos for Excel, for PowerPoint, for certain history items. You know, go onto the YouTube channel for PBS. They have all of their American Experience videos that are shown on television on their site. So if you're trying to find out about something to do with slavery, or about immigration or migration or the civil rights movement, you know, it's all there. And there are so many different areas, whether it's geography, mapping, what have you, that we add to our study or that we need to know about, that sometimes when people just focus on genealogy or family history, they're missing all of the online sources that are there for everything. A lot.
Vast. There's such an overlap between general office studies to genealogical studies, and how to operate Google+, and how to do this, how to do your blog, and oh goodness me, the number of things I watch, everything from cars to fishing to shipwrecks, and I haven't found anything on my great grandfather's shipwreck though. I keep on looking.
Shipwrecks and family wrecks. I'm sure you can do videos on family wrecks. I've got some ancestors that would fit into crash and burn for sure. Kathleen, you're into TNG, and I'm into TNG. What's going to be interesting is through our local family society, we now have 20 members who have been able to set up TNG thanks to a new resource we've got going. And being TNG equals family tree equals study of a surname equals potential additional members to the Guild of One Name Studies.
I'm intrigued about this, you guys being on TNG, because I put up a TNG, well, a copy of my database on TNG on my domain name. Rather, I had a web developer do it, but of course he knew nothing about genealogy, and I knew nothing about web developing. So there it is. It sits there, but I can't get in, and it's there.
Ouch! 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 Ow!
That's why I stick it on tribal pages, so that at least I understand what's going on.
Have you given up absolutely completely, or is it just one of those projects on the shelf ready to be dusted off when you get another web developer?
I don't think I'm going to get a web developer that understands genealogy. And of course,
Well, John? What
Sure.
do you need to do as a web developer that needs genealogy? I don't understand that.
Oh, I think he's talking about upkeep, adding things to it. Is that
Well,
right, John?
Yeah, well, even the problem I have at the moment is even getting in it, because
They didn't leave you the passwords?
it's a long time ago, and several computers ago, you know. No, it says there on my domain somewhere.
What I was going to suggest, John, is there are some people on the TNG forum who can be very helpful. And you might put out a call and say, I have this website that was set up by someone for me, but now I need help to run it. I need to get into it, whatever. Just post a message and see if you get any responses. That would be my first, guess.
I just left it be, and it sits there in cyberspace while I do my stuff with Tribal Pages. Tribal Pages works very well for me in relation to the way I run my study.
Well, that's good then. You've got your.
I just upload about every 7-10 days. I upload another JEDCOM to the site, and that's my database and it overwrites what's there, so it's always up to date.
Well, that's what I'm going to do with my TNG site, and I've been putting it off because I just know I'm going to run into some problem. But I've changed my genealogy program to Family Historian. So what I'm going to do is pull the website into Family Historian, do whatever changes I need to make it, compatible, because there are just a few things that I need to do. And then what I'll do then is keep it up on Family Historian, and like you do, just send the JEDCOM when I have changes.
Yeah. And I mean,
that seems a much easier way to me to do it than the way I've been doing it.
I tie it in behind a paywall. People, if they're switched on, they go and look at Tribal Pages, and they see that their name is there and whatever. And they contact me, and I collect the subs through PayPal. Nothing physically changes hands, other than a few dollars.
Is everybody aware of the cancellations by Ancestry this last month?
We had discussed it earlier. If you're talking about DNA, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, we discussed that earlier, John.
Oh, okay, fine. I will bring it up.
Oh, unless there's a question.
No. I think this is a travesty that they're doing, especially as they're destroying the samples.
Right.
And they're not directing the people easily to get to have their data stored with somebody else.
What concerns me is that they, in going ahead and destroying with the excuse that they would be unable to get in touch with all of the people that contributed it, I would think that they should be forced to hold them in storage for a period of time for people like you to say, I am here, I do want my samples back, and here's how you can return it or forward it on to another company that cares.
Right.
Well, you have people whose data originally came through Sorensen.
Mine.
Hmm?
Mine.
Yeah. I mean, with my DNA projects, they're run through FTDNA, and I basically have been for years telling people, if you want to deal with our project, you need to test with FTDNA. I need people who know that program and are with it, because I know that they're going to be around as long as this is a business, because that's their only business.
I wonder if Ancestry could withstand a legal challenge on their plan to destroy those samples.
I don't know. There's a petition going, but I don't know how far it's going to get. I don't really think that.
It almost doesn't matter whether or not they destroy them, because it's more important to get the people back to in touch with other people who might be able to use it, since they never built the communities that FTDNA has. Their people don't even know really what the results mean, hardly. That's why they
brought up a point in that some of the contributors of DNA are now dead, and you might have the only existing male family line sample resting with Ancestry, and that's going to get destroyed and lost.
That's right.
That is part of the travesty.
And I agree with John that Ancestry should be giving very, very direct instructions to people on how to get their results transferred to another company.
Yeah.
They've just blithely said, "Oh well, your results will be available until September." September, for crying out loud. That's a very short time for people to get in touch with their family members or whatever, and to go through the process. Now, granted, they can pass the results on to Family Tree DNA, which is a good thing, and they're already set up to take them. But Ancestry's done very little on their part, I think, to help people.
The results. It's not the original sample itself.
No, it's just the results. Yeah,
Oh.
The numbers, basically, just the numbers.
I'm going to continue with a Hangout, but I'm going to do a stop broadcast because we've covered the major topics of the day. If you guys don't mind, so just give me a second here.